Blast off, ladies and gentlemen. Monroe Mann here, YouTube #1 live streamer. Today we're going to do part 5 of Rose Reed's for The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep by Mark Manson. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep by Mark Manson. Nope. All right. So, who we got here? Hey, what's up, Debe? How are you? Nice to see you. Thank you for the like. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. So we're gonna get started with our first bit of notes. What's up, Angel? Good to have you here. Before we can look at our values and priorities and change them into better, healthy ones, we must first become uncertain of our current values. That's an important one. We all need to look at our values and say, what do we put value on, and is what we're currently valuing what we should be doing? And that's a big deal. Because everything about our lives right now is fueled by how we look at the world and where we put value. So if you're not happy with where your life is right now, and if you're not happy with how everything has been going, the values that you are holding dear may need to be adjusted. 1 a.m. for Debe teacher. Good night, Debe. Thank you for stopping by. So he says, before we look at our values and priorities and change them into better, healthier ones, we must first become uncertain of our current values. Next, good old Parkinson's law. So I talk about Parkinson's law a lot, which is the idea that work expands based on the amount of time you give to complete a project. So if you give yourself all day to write an email, for most of us, we're not going to do the email until the last minute. It's going to take a long time for us to get off our lazy butts and actually go and do something. Whereas Parkinson's law then reminds us that if we give ourselves less time to complete a project, we're more likely to get off our lazy butts and do it. So if instead of saying you've got all day to write one email, you could say, I need to write this email by 9 a.m. And when you do that, ba-boom. If you sincerely want to write that email, you'll finish that email by 9 a.m. and then you have time left over to do everything and anything else that you want to do in life. That's Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill up the time available for its completion. So you can use this Parkinson's law in your life by giving yourself crazy deadlines for things and basically just pushing yourself. The Parkinson's law example is in college or in high school. Some teachers gave you the whole semester to write a research paper, and they didn't give you any guidelines or deadlines. In the meantime, they just said, submit the final paper by June 1st. How many of you waited until May 15th or May 20th to even start it? Whereas some teachers, they're smart and they say, all right, your paper's due June 1st, but I want to see an outline by September 30th. I want to see the first chapter by November 1st. I want to see the conclusion by December 1st. I want to see chapters 2 through 6 by April, and then final paper due June. That's Parkinson's law in action, because it's creating artificial deadlines to push you to move faster. So you need to break anything that you need to do in life, you need to break it down into ideally smaller, more manageable deadlines that push you to stay on track, that to push you to stay on the goal. And that's Parkinson's law. Next, he talks about Murphy's law. So he defines Murphy's law as whatever can go wrong will go wrong. I define Murphy's law a little bit different. Whatever the worst case scenario is, that's what's going to happen. How do you use Murphy's law in your life? You use Murphy's Law in your life by thinking, what the heck is the worst thing that could happen? And then planning for that. Planning for what's the worst that could happen, and then planning to either avoid that, or if the worst case does happen, it's not the worst case scenario after all. The big problem is we're all going to die, and a lot of people don't have life insurance. They don't have a will. They have a horrible financial situation that's going to make their family have a lot of headaches when they die. Well, that's Murphy's Law. The worst thing that could happen is that you die and you leave your friends and your family in a world of hurt. And so what I'm encouraging you to do through Murphy's Law is think about that worst case scenario. You die. But technically it's not the worst case scenario because maybe that means you're going up to heaven. So maybe it's a good thing. But at least for the people that you leave on earth, it could be a very bad thing if you die without making any plans to resolve the situation and to make things better. We went up to like 9 people, and then we went back down to 2. Who are the 2 people who are here? Who is still here? I'd like to know. Angel, I guess, is still here. Who's the other person? Who's the second person? We only got 2 likes, too. Very frustrating. He created something that he calls Manson's Law. It's not Charles Manson. It's Mark Manson, the author of this book that I'm giving a book review about. Manson's Law. The more something threatens your identity, the more you will avoid it. So he gives an example. If you define yourself as a reliable attorney, you may not tell people about your novel. Or if you consider yourself a nice guy, you will avoid situations that contradict that belief. And if you believe yourself to be a great speaker, you will be attracted to speaking opportunities. Well, that last one I'm not so sure about because I believe myself to be a really great speaker, and yet the great speaking opportunities have not been magically coming to my doorstep. Though me having YouTube Live is certainly a good speaking opportunity. Well, it's a good speaking opportunity when there are like 10, 20, 30, 40 people on here. When there's only one person. Who is still here? Only one person. That I tell you that really hurts. That the YouTube algorithm used to give me so many and now we're down to 1. Woo! That's tough. Moving on. He says, so don't know yourself and don't find yourself. He says it's better to don't find yourself. He says, never learn who you really are. In this way, you'll never lose curiosity and you will not put yourself in a box. That's fascinating. I wish whoever was here would say something, so at least I know that there's someone here. Moving forward, this one is a good one. It's about Buddhism, which is let go of everything. He says, don't assume you know anything. Be willing to consider the possibility. Maybe I am no good at relationships. Maybe I'm not good as an entrepreneur. Maybe my idea isn't as good as I think. Maybe I'm not a great lawyer. Let go of your ego. Let go of your uncertainty about who you are. But don't throw yourself away either, he says. Maybe I could become a great lawyer. Maybe I can still become a great business owner, etc. To admit, maybe I'm not as special as I think I am. And now that's a hard one, guys. That is very hard to admit that maybe you're not as special as you think you are. You have to delude yourself and be ultra realistic. On one hand, you have to keep your ego in check by saying, yeah, maybe I'm not as special as I think I am. But at the same time, you have to delude, in order to avoid quitting, you have to delude yourself into believing I am as special as I think I am. So in order to push yourself forward, you need to think, I am the best YouTuber ever. Excuse me. But to avoid getting cocky, I have to say, there is a lot I need to learn about becoming a better YouTuber. Or I am the best lawyer on the planet. That keeps you going. But I am a lawyer who needs to learn a lot more. Keeps you humble. I am going to become a hugely successful entrepreneur. It's good to think that way, to keep you going. But there is so much more I need to learn as an entrepreneur. That keeps you humble. Look at all these books here. A lot of them are books about business. Social Media Marketing Workbook, Michael Lewis's Going Infinite, and the rise and fall of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire right there. I read those books because I know that there is so much more that I need to learn about entrepreneurism, about being successful. But every day I get up and think my ideas are better than everybody else's and my businesses are going to succeed. Because you need that at the same time. You have to have a healthy dose of ego and a healthy dose of humility all at the same time. I like that. You need a healthy dose of ego and a healthy dose of humility all at the same time. And you guys at the bottom, because admit to yourself, maybe I'm not as special as I think I am. In other words, maybe none of us is as special as we think we are. Here's the truth. None of us is as special as we think we are. Some of the people who have succeeded, they succeeded just by chance, by luck. And some of the people who didn't succeed, it's by chance and by luck. Some people who are grossly untalented are making millions. Some people who are incredibly talented are homeless. So the idea is, don't get into your head about how special you are, for good or bad. If you think of yourself as a complete loser failure, well, that makes you special too. So when it says maybe you're not as special as you think you are, it's not just about positive, it's about negative too. You could think that you are the most handsome man in the world, or you could think of yourself as the ugliest man in the world. In both situations, you are not as special as you think you are. You are not the ugliest man in the world. You are not the most handsome man in the world. You are somewhere in the middle, and you need to navigate life given that. All right, I'm turning the page to the next page here. And just going on with what I was saying, there is little that is special or unique about any of our problems. Isn't that true? Any problem that you have, someone else has it right now, or had it, or is going to have it. If you lost a parent, guess what? Every single human on the planet Earth, unless that person was born an orphan and doesn't remember it, doesn't remember the parents, is going to lose parents. So if you've lost a parent or you lose a parent, guess what? You're not special. If you lost a job, guess what? You're not special. If your business went under and you're bankrupt, guess what? You're not special. If you had a bad breakup and the girl of your dreams or the guy of your dreams left you, you're not special. This is motivational. It helps to remind you that nothing that's happening in your life is that special. You used to have an amazing lake house in Maine and you sold it. And now you're reaping the sadness of that. This guy. You're not special. I guarantee you right now there are a million other people who are mourning selling real estate and wishing that they hadn't done it. And or reminiscing about childhood that they used to have and that's gone. By the way, we have 4 people and 2 likes. I think there should be a couple of more likes here. Thanks, Angel. Thanks for the comment. I appreciate that. We went from 4 people to 1 person. Ay. Tough. So whenever you think, quote, I am the exception, I am unlike everyone else, I'm different and special, he says, he being Mark Manson, author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep, he says that is narcissism, pure and simple. I'm the exception, I'm unlike everyone else, I'm different and special. And yet, if you want to do anything incredible in life, that's exactly the narcissism you need. You need to believe that narcissism in your head. You need to believe that you are the exception, that you are unlike everyone else, that you are different and special. It might be narcissism if you spread that out into the world too much, but it's good. It's a healthy motivator if you use that framework to push yourself never to quit and to keep going and to never, never, never stop. Manson says, don't try to be special. Don't try to be unique. Don't measure yourself as a rising star or an undiscovered genius, nor as a horrible victim or a dismal failure. Be more mundane, because the more narrow and more rare the identity you choose for yourself, the more everything will seem to threaten you. Far better to define yourself in the simplest and most ordinary ways possible. So maybe it's good to think of yourself as, I'm just a normal guy. I'm just a regular old human with the same problems, same psychoses, same hopes and dreams, same difficulties, all that. He goes on, don't be afraid to give up some grandiose ideas about yourself, ideas that you're uniquely intelligent or uniquely talented or particularly victimized. Give up your sense of entitlement and your belief that you're somehow owed something in this world. For example, me believing that I am owed more viewers. Maybe that's a sense of entitlement because I've got 5,551 subscribers. Maybe that's a sense of entitlement. Why am I deserving of more than 2? I have 2 people watching now. I mean, and this goes back to Buddhism. Most misery comes from your attachment to things. What's up, Lenora Ferguson? Well, I liked your message before. Why did you delete it? It was a very nice message, and I already saw it. I wish I could unretract messages from my fans. I should be able to unretract those messages. What was it we were saying here? Oh, about the YouTube. Buddhism says that most of our misery comes from our attachment to things. Here, why am I miserable, quote unquote, as a YouTuber lately? Because I'm attached to the 20, 30, 50, 100 viewers that I, at one time, drew in, right? But he's saying it's important to give up some grandiose ideas about yourself, that you're uniquely intelligent, uniquely talented, or particularly victimized. Give up your sense of entitlement and your belief that you're somehow owed something. It means you also have to give up the supply of emotional highs you've used to sustain yourself for years, but you'll be glad that you did. What's up, Lenora? What's up, Albin? Who else is here? They don't want to listen to the truth. That's right, Angel. I appreciate that. Hello, Albin. Sergeant Kayla. Giving some motivational magnificence here. We got a heart with a first aid cross on the front of it there. I appreciate that. I need that health aid. I need that health aid. Here's another good one. Be a little less certain of yourself. I've gone through 2 different Monroes in my life. Well, I guess 3 different Monroes. I had the Monroe from birth until about age 21, and that was the uncertain Monroe, very meek and quiet and not really knowing what the heck he's doing. So very blah, blah, blah. To ages 20 to 35, I was arrogantly ambitious and believed nothing could stop me, and I was absolutely unstoppable, a theatrical juggernaut, like the name of my book of the same name, and nothing could get me down. Nothing. I was destined for greatness. Now, from ages 35 to 47, It's phase 3, which is basically me believing that maybe nothing's going to work out. And I'm getting older and things didn't work out as I want and becoming very down. And so I'm hoping that phase 4 starts now, which is not the uncertainty of my childhood, not the unbridled and certain ambition of my 20s and 30s, not my depression of my 40s, but now moving into Zen. Just Zen, where what he's saying is being a little less certain of yourself. These last, my phase 1, I wasn't certain of anything. Phase 2, I was certain of everything and was wrong. Phase 3, I was certain of nothing, which was extremely depressing. And now I think I want to move into this phase of I'm ambitious, I feel good about myself, and I know that I'm talented and capable, but I also want to be a little less certain of myself. I don't want to be as depressing of a guide to myself as I was these last 7 years. But I also don't want to be as ambitiously bonkers as I was in my 20s and 30s. So the idea is, and that's what he's saying here, be a little less certain of yourself. Be certain of yourself, what I'm telling you to do. Believe in yourself. Go after your dreams. But don't believe that you are God's gift to everything. And I think I believed that for a long time and felt that I felt I was God's anointed one in my 20s and 30s. And in my 40s, I felt I was God's forsaken one, or God cared nothing about me. And I'm hoping now I'm moving into the part of my life where I realize it's neither. I'm not God's chosen one. I'm also God's not forsaken one. I am another human being on this planet. And I do believe God loves me, but God doesn't make life perfect and easy for absolutely everybody, because then what would there be? If it was just goodness and happiness every single day, it would be kind of creepy, which is weird when you think about it. Imagine living in a world where everyone is just happy all the time. It seems like it would be like a horror movie. Yeah, Sergeant Kayla says, same here. So maybe, I don't know if you're saying here, same here, where you want to, this year, find that happy medium. Be proud of yourself, but don't be too proud. Believe in yourself, but don't believe that you are better than absolutely everybody. Have faith in your dreams, but don't believe that you are the only one with big dreams. We need to have a little bit measure of humility. And maybe this is God's message to me over the last 20 years. He wanted me to calm down my ambition and calm down my ego. Pride cometh before the fall, right? Well, I was very proud for many years. Now I am certainly less proud. And maybe now it's time for me to get back off the floor. All right, let's read the next one. Question 1. Here are questions to ask yourself. What if I am wrong? Am I jealous? And if I am, why? Am I angry? Is she right? Is my idea not as good as I think it is? Am I warped in my thinking because I'm the one who came up with the idea? So here, I'm using my example for my life because that's what I know. I mean, the two things I've been talking about a lot are my YouTube channel and my company Breakdiving. So look, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong and I continue to do YouTube and 10 years from now, I still haven't gotten to 6,000 subscribers? It's possible. Am I jealous? And if I am, why? Am I jealous of the other people who are doing better on YouTube? Maybe so. I don't know if I'm jealous. It's just frustrating because I believe I'm just as talented. I think the content that I share is just as worthwhile. And yet other people have more subscribers and more likes and more viewers. Why? I don't know. Am I angry? Maybe. I think maybe I'm angry just because it's been so long. I've been a YouTuber for 18 years, and I've come up this breakdiving concept for 26 years. Let's see. He goes on. If you're sitting there miserable day after day, then that means you're already wrong about something major in your life. Until you're able to question yourself to find it, nothing is going to change. Think about it. If I've been miserable for 7 years, doesn't it stand to reason that something I'm doing is bringing that misery upon me? It's not like depression went out and found me. Depression, though I do believe that the devil is depression, and depression is the devil. And I believe the devil is very happy when people are in depressed moods, because it means you're not going forward to fulfill God's mission for your life. So don't let depression get you down. I always say, kill the devil of depression that has its chain around you. And you need to figure out a way to do that. By the way, we have 2 likes. Let's get a couple more likes now. Let's get to 3. Let's get to 4. Here's another question. What would it mean if I were wrong? And he says, this question calls into question our values. I mean, think about that. What if I'm wrong about YouTube and me becoming a successful YouTuber? What if I'm wrong about my company breakdiving, that I've been struggling to make a huge household name for many, many years? What if I'm wrong? I mean, what if I'm 70 years old and I'm still trying to make this company a success? What if I'm 70 years old and I'm still trying to get $4,000 a month on YouTube? It's interesting. I mean, did I waste my life? Is it a worthy life to pursue something that never comes to fruition? I don't know. It depends on your values. Question 3. What's up, cat's tongue? Yes, we are all still learning. I completely agree. I am every single day. Every single day. Question 3 from the book. Would being wrong create a better or a worse problem than my current problem for both myself and others? He says the goal here is to look at which problem is better, because you have to remember life's problems are endless. He talks about that in the beginning of the book. He says your mission is not to get rid of your problems. Your mission is to find problems that you enjoy solving, because you're going to have problems in life. If you have a job, you're going to have a boss. And you have to ask, which problem do you want to have? A boss that you don't like, who pays you every month, or a boss who you do like, presumably yourself, who may not be able to pay you as consistently or as dependably? And if you're an entrepreneur, then you have to ask yourself, do I want to have the problem of where am I going to pay my bills every month? Or do I want to get a job and have the problem of maybe doing something I don't love, but I get a paycheck? Angel's here. I wonder what it's like. Feels like I'm doing something right, and it feels like I'm doing something wrong. What is that? It's like a mindset or what? I think it's our inner compass. I mean, I think God does exist, and I really believe if you have a dream in life, I believe it's God that's giving you that dream. Where else does it come from? Dogs don't have dreams in life. We're the only creature on the planet that have, I'm just cleaning my camera here, that have dreams. Isn't that interesting? Your dog has no dreams, but you do. Why? I think God gave dreams to humans uniquely. Marty Mr. Fitness says, yes, yes. And it is interesting to think that life's problems are endless. And I think that's a very good exercise for all of us to do. And a thought exercise is, what are your current problems? What problems would you rather have to replace them? Marty Mid-Fitness says, do you know how to beat a bad surrounding in depression? So I have a PhD in psychology, as you may know. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I have an understanding of the human mind. And what I would say is medication can help, but it can only help so much. The only medication that helps completely is medication that puts you into a coma, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, there is no antidepressant that magically takes away everything without taking away your personality and your life. So in that sense, it's worth talking to a psychiatrist to see if maybe there's a low dose. I always tell this too, if you're going to get an antidepressant or something, get a low dose, because the more you take, the higher the dose, the more that starts to affect your brain and make you cloudy and make you loopy. You don't want to be loopy. You want to live a less depressed life. You want to have a better outlook. But medication alone doesn't do the trick. If you have a bad surrounding, that's you have two options. You can move to different surroundings, or you can, or let's say move to different surroundings. That may mean physically moving to a different place, or it may mean changing the surroundings in which you are in. Or you can come to terms with your surroundings and learn to, I wouldn't say embrace them, but learn to handle them with more poise and patience. And for example, if you're dealing with a very difficult person in your life, but one solution is to get away from that person completely. Or second is to limit the amount of time you are with that person so that it doesn't affect you so negatively. A third option is to, again, it's a lot easier to change yourself than it is to change another person, Marty. So many people try to change another person. I'm telling you, you're not going to change another person. How many times you're like, oh, I wish you would do this, I wish you would do that. You should try. I'm not saying let somebody trample all over you, because one person might go, you know what, this person is such a pushover, and they're not going to try to change me. I'm just going to try to do things my way. That's not good. You don't want to allow people to take advantage of you. But to some extent, pick and choose your battles. Which things can you learn to put up with, and which things are non-negotiable? And there are certain things you need to know what that is. What is non-negotiable, and what is stuff that you are able to become more patient about. And then about depression, depression can be caused by so many different things. I mean, depression can be caused by your finances. Depression can be caused by your family. Depression can be caused by your friends. It can be caused by your job, by your boss. It can be caused by your medical situation. It can be caused by your friends, your social status. Depression can be caused by your career status. I mean, there are so many things. And how do you fix that? Again, you can, like we were talking about earlier, you can do a number of things. You can change the actual situations themselves, or you can change the way that you look at those situations. There's that famous quotation, things work out best for those who make the best out of the way things work out. So if you're depressed because you lost your job, okay, that's fine, but things work out best for those who make the best out of the way things work out. So if you make the best out of you losing your job by getting a new job, by taking a vacation, by spending more time with your family, by starting a business, you're becoming a master of your destiny rather than a victim of your circumstances, which you should not do. Miss Kaylee, if you're hungry, you need to go eat. You need to go eat. Cat's tongue used to twitch and bark in her sleep. That may mean that she has dreams, but not the dreams in terms of like, I want to be a dog mother, or I want to be a dog with that wins a gold medal at the dog show. There is no dog that has that thought process. Miss Marty says, it's so hard to change because I'm not an over-aggressive person. Thank you so much. It's all of them got in a bad accident. It's ruined my life. Who got into a bad accident, Marty? And what are you talking about? How did it hurt? How did it ruin your life? Cat's Tongue says, good advice. Thank you, sir. You're very, very welcome, guys. You're very welcome. Thank you for clicking like. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. My name is Monroe Mann. I have a PhD in psychology. I'm an Iraq war veteran, 2-time TEDx speaker, 64 skydives to my name. A musician, a singer, comic, actor, public speaker, and all that jazz. And a Bronze Star nominated Iraq war veteran as well. Marty, you got in a car wreck. Okay, and you have brain damage now. You know, there's someone else from the channel who also apparently had some brain damage. You know what? It happens. It happens to more people than I think we realize. And I'm sorry to hear that. And I say, don't give up. Keep going to physical therapy. Keep trying to improve. Don't give up. Kayla, PTSD, 100%. I think part of my depression is PTSD from Iraq. Not only from the normal stuff like the mortar shells and the rockets, but also just the sense of having such an adrenaline-fueled life for a year in Iraq. And then I come home and life has been very boring since then. It was a nonstop action movie for a year, and now it's a very boring book by a bad writer. You're welcome, Marty McFitness. Marty McFitness. I'm calling you Marty McFitness. Marty Mr. Fitness. You're worth it, Cat's Tongue. You are worth it. So here's the lesson that he shares. Again, I'm reading notes that I took from the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep by Mark Manson. If it's down to me being screwed up or everyone else being screwed up, it is far more likely that I'm the one who is screwed up. If it feels like it's you versus the world, chances are it's really just you versus yourself. And I like that. And I think, I often talk about how I feel like I am Job. Like, why is God making my life so miserable? Monroe, he's not. There are so many people who are in worse situations than I am. There are so many people in worse financial situations, emotional situations, physical situations. And that's why we all need to get over ourselves. We need to get over our ego. We need to get over our egos. How did we get up to 9 likes? Now that's weird. We were at 2 likes and then we went up to 9. Makes me think that the likes are fake, like by one person decides to switch accounts and give us lots of likes. I don't know. Moving on, you can make plenty of money and be miserable, just as you could be broke and be pretty happy. Instead, my value was from something else, freedom and autonomy. With this value, to not pursue my own projects became the failure, which is basically me. I know I value my freedom, my autonomy more than anything else. I think this is why I never stay at a job very long. I think this is why I don't have a wife or girlfriend. And I think this is also why I feel somewhat depressed these last, 5, 6, 7 years. I was a caregiver for my dad before he died, and now I'm doing the same for my mom, and I'm grateful to do it. Somebody said to me the other day, Monroe, your mother's a burden to you now. And I said, no, stop. The situation is a burden. She's not a burden. The situation is a burden, and that's a big difference. But it does take its toll on me, and it is taking its toll on me. But just think of this. I'm going to read it again. You can make plenty of money and be miserable, just as you could be broke and be pretty happy. Instead, my value was for something else, freedom and autonomy. With this value, to not pursue my own projects became the failure. I'll stop by in a little bit. Okay, talk to you later. Moving on, value. Think about this. This is a good one. I'll read the comments in 1 second. Picasso doodling in a cafe and crumpling it up. A woman says, "Can I buy that?" He says, "Sure, for $20,000. Picasso says, "What?" The woman says, "What? It only took you 10 minutes to do that." And Picasso says, "No, it took me 60 years. It took me 60 years. It's the same thing about the plumber. The plumber, you've got a problem. The plumber comes by and just tightens one knob. It takes 1 minute and then sends you a bill for $250. He goes, "What? $250? You were there for like 1 minute." He goes, "It was $1 for tightening the screw, $249 for knowing which screw to tighten and how much to tighten it." Let me read some comments. Marty McFish says, not a bad book. You're the live streamer I follow. Thanks, Marty. Thanks for following me. Sergeant Kayla, doing what I love. Huzzah. What's up, Major? How are you? Sergeant Kayla, I have PTSD from fire, but I bounce back real quick. I used to be super resilient when I was younger. The older I've gotten, learned helplessness has kicked in, and I'm not as resilient as I used to be. But I'm still resilient. I mean, people still comment on the fact that they don't know anyone who doesn't quit as much as I do. I just keep going. By the way, we got 8 people here. We're on the super board for April. We've got about $60 so far. We're actually at 60. $60 so far this month. If you want to get on the super board for April, you could be number 9 here. Either any super chat or gift of $1 or more will get us there. And you'll be on the super board for April. Okay. Kyle. Yeah, you can't pay me for what I know, not for how long it takes me to do it. 100%, Kyle. JW7, it's honorable to care for your parents, love you as you love them. Absolutely, JW. And it's why I think it's an honor. Why do I do this? My mom has supported my dreams so much over the years. She's helped me with so many of my projects, and she has just been an angel. And so she's in her hour of need now, so I need to help her. And I'm happy to do that. And what's up, Reggie? Kyle's here, JW47. All right, the next note. Improvement at anything is based on thousands of tiny failures. And the magnitude of your success is based on how many times you failed at something. And this is why I'm excited about YouTube. It took me 18 years to get it monetized. It's why I'm excited about breakdiving. I came up with the concept 26 years ago, and only now is it really starting to slowly take off. Every failure is a badge of honor. Every failure, as long as you don't quit, every failure is one step closer to you figuring out what works. You've probably heard the story about Edison, where every time Thomas Edison found apparently it was like, I haven't failed with finding the incandescent light bulb. I have found 999 ways that do not work. And that's what I'm doing with YouTube. That's what I'm doing with my company, Breakdiving. I have found 999 ways that do not work. I have not figured out what's going to make me a huge YouTuber yet. I haven't figured out what's going to make me a really successful entrepreneur. But I haven't given up, and I found many ways that don't work. And guess what? All those ways that didn't work led me to figuring out what did work, and I finally got the channel monetized. No, Kyle, I still sing. right here. I did a music live stream last a few days ago. Katz, what is the burnt toast theory? Can you share that with everybody? Moving on. World War II survivors. A large percentage of them believe the experience, although painful and indeed traumatic, had caused them to become better, more responsible, and happier people. After the war, they felt more confident, more sure of themselves, more grateful, and unfazed by life's trivialities and petty annoyances. What I find fascinating is that's how I felt when I got back from Iraq, too. For the first 5 years after I got back from Iraq, 2006 until 2010, I was unstoppable in my belief. And I had great confidence but learned helplessness started to kick in, I'd say I think it was around 2016, 2015, 2016. So you got to be careful about that. Learned helplessness can destroy your belief in yourself. Kyle says, comedy and singing, do both. I do them. Yeah, I do all of it. I do my comedy characters. I do the music. Depends on what mood I'm in on what particular day. Cat's Tongue says, burnt toast theory is a metaphorical concept that suggests small, seemingly negative events can lead to positive outcomes. What's up, Eke? David, what are you doing? Good to have you back. Hey, David, I'm going to be in Switzerland in May. Are you going to be there? I'm going to be in Paris and in Lugano. And Lugano and Zurich Zurich briefly one day, and then Zurich for an entire day. Let me know if you are going to be in any of those cities, or you want to come down to Lugano and visit with me. It would be good to see you. Maybe we can go skydiving again. I don't know if Eke is there. So Cat's Tongue, metaphorical concept that's just let me check this out. Let's get our friend ChatGPT and get another interpretation of burnt toast theory. Let me just check this out. Here we go. And hi, can you explain burnt toast theory?
Sure. The burnt toast theory is a simple concept that explains how small, seemingly insignificant events or decisions can set off a chain of larger, more significant outcomes, either positive or negative. It's a way of thinking about how things can happen that seem frustrating at first, but may lead to something better. Here's an example of how it works. Imagine you burn your toast in the morning. You're annoyed at first, but then you end up running late and miss your usual bus. However, when you catch the next bus, you happen to sit next to someone who offers you an incredible job opportunity. If you hadn't burnt your toast and been late, you wouldn't have met that person. The theory suggests that life often works in unpredictable ways. What seems like a negative or frustrating experience could, in fact, be a necessary step that leads you to something better, even if you can't see it right away. It's a reminder that sometimes setbacks can be blessings in disguise, even if we don't realize it in the moment. Does that resonate with you, or does it feel like a stretch?
It does. I want to know, can you speak Chinese with me?
Yes, I can. What would you like to talk about in Chinese?
你叫什么名字？
你是问我的名字吗？我没有具体的名字，但你可以叫我 ChatGPT。如果你有其他问题或想聊点什么，随时告诉我。
谢谢。下个月我会去瑞士旅游，好不好？
听起来非常棒。瑞士是一个美丽的国家，有着壮观的阿尔卑斯山脉、清澈的湖泊和
Guys, that is so cool. That is so cool. I just learned that I can have conversations in various languages with ChatGPT. So cool. So anyway, we learned about the burnt toast theory, which is, basically I'm hoping that is going to be I'm hoping my life will be the poster child for burnt toast theory then. Because I feel like the last 25 years has been a lot of burnt toast. And I'm hoping that eventually, with break diving this year. By the way, David, if you haven't joined break diving, please do so now, breakdiving.io. Our mobile app is coming out in 3 weeks. I think things are starting to take off. Things are moving. Eke will be in Switzerland for most of May. David, but I have no way to get in touch with you. So can you please send me a message on using a phone number that will not self-destruct in 2 days? Come on. Driving me crazy. By the way, you have to super chat me 2 Swiss francs right now for 3 reasons. For 3 reasons. 1, you haven't been here in a long time. Shame on you. It's a penalty. Number 2, I want to put you on the super board for April. And number 3, we have no super chats in this live stream yet. And I've been spewing out brilliant philosophical and motivational tutelage. And I think everybody will be grateful for Mr. Eke77 to become the 2 Swiss franc sponsor of this live stream. There we go. Now we're talking. Awesome. All right, you are number 9 for the month, David. I'm not gonna put David here. I'm gonna put NPD. NPD. Only on one of them because I'll only make fun of you once. The other time will be David. David. Oh, you did 2? 2? Look at that. All right, 2 Swiss francs. I'll put first ha 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 because of NPD. And David, what did he do? He did 5. 5 Swiss francs. We're going to meet in Switzerland. So, first of all, wait a second. Are you the... No, V is still the super chat king with 10 Canadian dollars, which is 7 American dollars. 5 Swiss francs, I think, is a little bit less than 7 US dollars. But you're almost, you're like the vice king. You are the vice king, Mr. David. So first of all, thank you for that. Thank you for the support. Always makes me feel good when make a little bit of money on the live streams. But seriously, please give me a way that I can get in touch with you consistently so we can set up some time, whether you want to meet me I'm going to be in England too for a couple days. I don't know if you're there, but if you're going to be in Switzerland, maybe we can meet in Zurich at the bare minimum, or you can come down to Lugano. I'm going to be there for about a week, and it would be great to see you. So, but it's up to you. You got to set it up because guys, I want to tell you the story about NPD. So David's also a skydiver. And David, during the training program, he did not like to pull his parachute open. So we gave him the nickname No Pull David. No Pull David. And that's not a good thing. You always want to pull. You always want to pull to make sure your parachute opens. I don't know how to do any of that. My brain doesn't work well anymore. Somebody asked how many languages I speak. I speak about 4 of them pretty well. And then I speak like 20 of them, tiny little smatterings. And nice number 9. I don't know why, but I like that number. Oh wait, it's 10. My bad. All right, let's get back to the motivation here from the book. One moment, let me turn the page. Okay. Many military personnel report a mental resilience gained from withstanding the dangerous environments of being in a war zone. I wrote, not me. I feel more empty and meaningless since Iraq. And isn't that interesting how certain events can have different impacts on different people? Some people, an experience in a war zone makes them stronger. In many ways, it did make me stronger. I'm not going to lie, or I'm not going to mislead you and think that it didn't. I gained a lot of lessons from there. I did learn about not giving up. Thanks to the military, I learned that I can withstand very difficult situations. I've learned that I can push forward despite the odds, but it also paid its toll on me as well, because sometimes, life, I think, is a lot more difficult for me mentally, since me getting back from Iraq. Next quote from this book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep by Mark Manson. So I'm just going to do a couple more, and I'll save some for next time. Life is about not knowing and then doing something anyway. All of life is like this. It never changes. Even when you're happy, even when you're rich. So think about it. Even when you're happy and even when you're rich, you're still not going to know everything. And you still got to... What's up, ad creator? How are you? Now, if you're stuck on a problem, don't just sit there and think about it. Just start working on it. Even if you don't know what you're doing, the simple act of working on it will eventually cause the right ideas to show up in your head. Action is not just the effect of motivation, it's also the cause of it. Most of us commit to action only if we feel a certain level of motivation. And what he's saying here is, and this is why I tell people to create 5-minute tasks and to create a very strong why. You've got to push yourself to do the tasks that you know are going to lead to success, even when you don't have the motivation to do so. I'm doing well, ad creator. Even better now that you're here. And also, it's not just, you don't have to just sit there and work on it. You can also just start talking about it. In the world of computer programming, it's called rubber ducking. And it's this concept where, did you get my message? I don't know, did you send me something on my phone? I'm looking at text messages, I don't see anything. Yes, I see something on the other messaging app. You see how I didn't let people know your secret identity and where you are? So, I got it. Don't change that number for 2 months at least. 2 months. You got to give me 2 months. Hey, I don't know what's up with this guy, AK-77. It's like he thinks he's Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible. Every month he has to change his phone number. Every month I lose contact with him. As soon as I get too close to him, as soon as I think I'm finally going to able to propose my everlasting love to him, he just disappears. And then finally one day he shows up again on a live stream. Hey Monroe, how's it going? Remember me? I'm David. I'm NPD from EF. Do you want me to read the message now? Is it and share it, or is it private? But I was telling you this, the idea of rubber ducking. Rubber ducking is a concept that computer programmers used. Usually, it was definitely before ChatGPT, because ChatGPT in some ways made it a little less necessary. But if you're stuck by yourself and you're stuck with a coding bug and you can't solve the bug, what you should do is just call something your rubber duck. Let's say we call this the rubber duck. And you just start describing the problem. So I'd say, all right, I have this model and I believe it has the correct connection to the database. However, every time the controller runs a command trying to blah, 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 and then you go, oh my gosh, and you'll magically figure out the solution just by talking out the problem. That's called rubber ducking. ChatGPT is nice because now if you're stuck, you don't have to talk to just a rubber duck that doesn't talk back to you. You can type that exact problem into ChatGPT and it will actually talk back. So it's like rubber ducking plus. If you don't have access to the internet, you can still rubber duck. You can also do the rubber ducking if you're just any problem that you have in life. Why do I kind of like doing my YouTube live streams, and why do I share publicly some of the problems that I'm dealing with? Because I end up talking to you guys. You guys are rubber ducks, quote unquote. I don't want to insult any of you. But on my live streams, I sometimes just talk through my problems, and then I end up coming up with solutions on my own. So you guys can do the exact same thing. David says I should read his comments. Okay. He says, hey, is this still your number? It's NPD. But you should know that in Germany, NPD is a pretty right political party that are mostly bad people. Aha. Well, on my live stream, NPD stands for No Pull David. We have the original NPD on this live stream right now. It's the guy that jumps out of an airplane and does not pull his parachute cord. Very unsafe. I mean, this guy lives dangerously. If you're going to live a dangerous life, you want to live like NPD over here. All right, next quotation. Action is not just the effect of motivation. It's also the cause of it. Meaning, if you're depressed, start doing something proactive and you'll then get motivated and stop being as depressed. And I've said this, guys, for years. I've already said this. This is like, even if you're miserable, start doing something. And this is why I always say create an actual plan for your year. Plan your life, plan your year, plan your quarter, January, February, March. So now we're in the second quarter of 2025, April, May, June. And I always say run your life like a business. David knows. David runs a very successful business in Switzerland. I'm sure he runs multiple successful businesses. And run your life like a business. If you haven't, go to YouTube and search for Monroe Mann, TEDx Jefferson. You can watch a TEDx talk where it's called You Are the CEO of Me, Inc. And it's a TEDx talk that I did to remind you that you should run your life like a business. And part of running your life like a business is creating quarterly goals. But even more than quarterly targets, create monthly targets, create weekly targets, create daily targets. And the idea is, I don't care how motivated you are to achieve those targets, just get up and achieve them. Get up and do it. Doesn't matter. Do it. That's right. Sharks keep moving, cats. I love how cats, the lazy cat that lies around licking itself, is saying sharks keep moving. Be the shark. Yeah, we got to keep moving. And they say running around in circles is bad for you, but the truth is if you run around a track 4 times, you just ran a mile. And you ran around in circles, but you just really improved your physical fitness. So don't believe them when they say you're running in circles. Running in circles could be a good thing. It depends what your goal is in life. If your goal is to run a marathon, and a marathon I think is like 24 miles or something, so you run around that track 150 times, you just ran a marathon. So if you're running around in circles, that's exactly the training that you need to do. You need to stop avoiding running around in circles. You need to run around that circle even more than you already are so that you can get the stamina that you need to win an actual marathon. So he says it's an endless loop. Inspiration leads to motivation. Motivation leads to action. Action leads to inspiration. Inspiration leads to motivation. 100%. Which is why it's important that you keep the targets that you have for the day, for the week, for the month, for the year, wherever you are. I mean, I've got some things on my wall over there. I've got you can see papers there, to-do lists there. I've got to-do lists on there. You know, I keep this on my mind. Look, I have for 300. It says 300 up there. Where? Right here. Because my goal is to get, at a bare minimum, $300 this month on YouTube, which we did it. We did it last month. We got to $330. I was very proud of myself. And I've made that my new goal. Now that I'm learning about the ups and downs of YouTube and stuff, I've made a high of $710, and I've made a low of $230. So now now it's $300 a month. That's what I make on YouTube. So let me read these more comments. Eke says, it's multiple businesses right now. Some are doing better than others, but overall I'm happy, still successful, thank God. David, I'm very happy to hear that. That's great news. I look forward to catching up with you when I'm in Switzerland, whether it's in Zurich or you come down to Lugano. And cat's tongue, you got a cruise. That's a fancy cat. This cat can afford to go on a Caribbean cruise. Pretty nice. Pretty nice, cat's tongue. Thank you again. It's great to have you here. I hope you've subscribed if you haven't already. Let's see if you're new here. Oh, no, it looks like you're a subscriber maybe already. But great to have you. A great pleasure. Let me read a couple more. Here, forcing yourself to do anything, even the tiniest task, can get you out of your funk. Forcing yourself to do anything, even the tiniest task, can get you to get out of your funk. I'm going to stop on this one. I'm going to write it here just so I know where to start next time. I'm actually going to start on that one next time here. Part 6. So we're going to continue with there. That'll be part 6 of Rose Reads of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep by Mark Manson. That's what I need to do. I have to force myself to just do the tiniest tasks. I have to do that more often so that because sometimes I get into a funk. I'll start watching a television show. I'll lie down on my bed. And then the television shows just get you ruminating because it doesn't really use your brain. So you end up thinking about lots of other things going on in your life. It ends up ruminating more and more. You end up watching more of these TV shows because they're designed to be addictive, to keep you watching them with cliffhangers. And you have to force yourself to, I gotta come up with a new slogan. It's like, stop simple task. Maybe it's stop, period, simple task, do. Stop, simple task. Maybe that's a good thing to think about. I could probably come up with a better mnemonic or a better way of thinking about it. But whenever you catch yourself doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, just say stop, simple task. And that could be simple as just go and pick up a book and read one paragraph. If you have a lot of emails that you need to get through, go there and open up and delete one email. If you want to make Upwork proposals, go and apply to one job on Upwork. If you want to go out for a run, just start putting on your shoes. Forget about running, just get out of bed and put on your shoes. So stop with the wasting and start simple tasks. I want to come up with some mnemonic about that. Stop. I don't know. Maybe stop titillating, start tasking. When I say titillating, I mean it's like stop giving your brain these little blub, 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 blubs. Stop titillating, start tasking. Stop titillating, start simple tasking. I'll work on it. It's a work in progress. Have a good one, Cat's Tongue. Have a good one, Angel. David, always a pleasure to see you. I'm going to message you on WhatsApp. We'll set something up. And guys, I'll probably do another. I keep saying I probably will do another live stream today, and I end up not doing it. But I would like to do another live stream today. I would like to play some music, I think, or do something from Successful New Year. So stay strong, stay positive. I got to maybe go get something to eat myself. You remind me I haven't eaten. And have a great day. Bye, guys.